Man, this show really took a dive, didn't it? Like and subscribe and hit that notification bell, and if you are new to the channel, check it out and let me know what you think. Let's dive into The Last of Us Season 2. Full disclosure before we jump into this thing, I've never played either of these games, Part 1 or Part 2, so quite honestly I could just be talking out of my ass, but some of my closest friends have, and a lot of the dialogue I've gotten from them is that like Part 1's great, Part 2 kind of sucks because they killed off Joel. I know Part 2 definitely there's a fandom, there is a following. I know people do love that game. But going into Season 2, I was worried about that factor, the Joel factor. And quite honestly, my friends I know that played both the games fell off this second season after like episode 3 and haven't gone back. So maybe this is the one time when you don't adapt a video game in a 1-to-1 format. I'm just saying, because it seems like after we lost Pedro Pascal, the viewership dropped off a cliff. And I'll be honest with you, so did the quality. Look, I loved Season 1. I'm always game for like a post-apocalyptic zombie adventure. I also enjoyed the fact that this one, and I guess this goes for the game as well, is very based in like reality, for the most part. With the cordyceps mushrooms and how they affect insects and creatures like that and can like take over their bodies, and I think that's very fascinating. And it's creepy, even though, it's been said time and time again by, major scientists all over the world, there's no way that these mushrooms would ever jump to humans, and that's fine. But I think building off that idea and taking that concept and doing sort of a what if is interesting. I think it's more interesting than the classic zombie bite virus, whatever. I loved Ellie and Joel's dynamic. I think Pedro Pascal does so much heavy lifting with this show. Not that everyone else is bad, it's just that I think Pedro Pascal is on a whole nother level when it comes to his performance and his acting abilities. I'm just gonna say that. Disagree with Pedro Pascal's personal beliefs outside of acting and his kind of off-camera persona, that's fine. I'm very good at separating art from the artist. I don't give a shit. I disagree with a lot of things he says, but I don't care. On screen, I full-heartedly believe that Pedro Pascal is one of the most talented actors working today, and I think that comes on full display in Season 2 when we get the flashback episode of the rift that was created between him and Ellie. Man, when they're talking and arguing on that porch, the full range of his acting abilities on display and like the raw emotions that come through just in his facial expressions alone is insane. And I think that is the biggest issue with Season 2, was killing him off. I get that Druckmann wanted to follow the game, the narrative that he set up, but everything I know, a lot of people didn't like that, so maybe it's okay to change it. And when he died in in episode 2, this show lost a lot of its heart and soul, because I think what has built up and what was established was all predicated on that relationship between him and Ellie. And when you take out, sorry to say, the best part of that dynamic, you lose a lot of the heart of this show. And I think that's a mistake that this show is going to continue to pay for down the line. Bella Ramsey is fine. I'm not going to hate on her like, most of the internet has. I think she's a fine actress, but her character in this show is written in a way that's very unlikable. I don't enjoy her corny, stupid jokes she makes all the time, her just like outward demeanor. She's not a character that a lot of people can connect with, I don't think. She's constantly abrasive and just unlikable. And then there's Dina, who I love, Isabella Merced. I think she's one of the most talented young actresses working today. I'm excited to see her in Superman. But her character is written in such a way that, you know, she is likable, but she's just willing to follow blindly, to follow Ellie into any dilemma without being a voice of reason, which, if you're going to have this sort of adventure and this type of arc, you need to have a character that's sort of the voice of reason. And Dina just goes along with everything, every bad idea that Ellie has, just like, yeah, how could this go wrong, without thinking about the oncoming consequences. They're walking into a city where they're just pretty much surrounded by different forces all over the place, and there's just two of them with, you know, like 2 guns. And she's just like, yeah, Ellie, whatever you say, let's go get revenge on these people, let's kill them. And it's just nonsense for the most part. The writing of this season is just, it's very bad. There's not a lot in this season 2 that's entertaining. There's a few fun action sequences and set pieces, but for the most part, it's not great. And I think that goes hand in hand with the pacing. The pacing's kind of all over the place. It starts out very good in those first couple episodes, but again, after they kill off Joel, it just sort of drops off a cliff. And it gets sort of action heavy in the last 2 final episodes. But in between that, you get a lot of just kind of meandering that's just not entertaining. And they try to build this relationship between Dina and Ellie, and I didn't care about it. Like, sure, they have a connection, but it's just like, it just is so goofy and just sort of awkward sometimes. And again, like, Ellie's character is just sort of played for laughs, but like, she's supposed to be this super capable, you know, just badass, and I just never get that vibe from Bella Ramsey and Ellie in general. And then you have, they try to bring Jesse in as sort of this voice of reason in the final episode, like, hey, you guys are ridiculous for doing this. We came to rescue you and get you out because you're gonna die out here. But it's like way too late in the game, and then they kill Jesse off, which I think happens in the game. I'm not sure. Again, I've never played them. But every time he tries to be the voice of reason, they try to have Ellie come back and be like, oh, well, no, I'm right, you're wrong, because the plot needs me to be right, and it needs you to be wrong. So it just, like, the writing's just all over the place. And again, along with the pacing, like I mentioned before, the stuff that's good is good. Like, the performances, for the most part, are great, especially Pedro Pascal. The effects, everything, those are all good. Those carried over from season 1, and they're great. But where this story in season 1 left you kind of hanging on every single episode, waiting for the next, it's a very grueling experience for season 2. After each episode, once Joel is killed, you're just like, okay, another episode of just riding horses through a desolate city and just walking around and talking, and nothing really happens. And that's most of this season. It very much feels like a filler season for what's to come next, which I don't know what is to come next. I'm familiar with the very vague outline plot of part 2 of the game, so I know how that game ends. It seems like they're going to take ending of part 2 and stretch that out into season 3 with some flashbacks based on the end of season 2 of the show. I mean, we see Abby get up and go out into the stadium, and we're greeted with day 1 of Seattle. So presumably we're going to jump back in time and kind of see Abby's journey up to this point and then go from there. So, I don't know. Just seems like a lot of setup. It doesn't seem like a lot of effort was put into making the story of season 2 the best it could be. And I think Druckmann really shot himself in the foot with trying to make this as faithful to the game as he possibly could, because people love Pedro Pascal, man. He's a great actor. And taking him out of the show, I think, is going to haunt this show for many seasons to come.